And like the ideas this museum celebrates, which grew here and changed the country, so all parts of the UK should now be given the chance to develop their own version of the same, focusing on the things that matter most to them. Good growth in every British postcode. What a sea change that would be in the way UK government thinks about our own country. Places no longer forgotten or written off, as they have been in the past, but supported to make the best of their assets, seeing the positives in all places. And there are positives in all places, in all postcodes across this United Kingdom. Let's always remember that.
Messiah speaking, wasn't it? Andy Burnham, he's only gone and done it, and he's got people running around going, wow, that was amazing, that was incredible. Of course, saying stuff is very, very different to doing stuff. What did you overarchingly make, though, of that speech?
Well, technically, it was an excellent speech, but that's not surprising because Andy Burnham is a very, very good communicator. He's enormously confident with the English language, which probably is illustrated by the fact that he's got a degree in English literature, I think, and was highly commended by his tutors at university for speaking with such precision. So he's able to bring that into public life. But as you say, speaking is not doing, but the fact of the matter is he's not in a position to do just yet.
Right, gather round, because something massive just happened in Manchester. And if you blinked, you missed the moment British politics quietly shifted on its axis. Andy Burnham, Greater Manchester Mayor, working class hero, man who somehow makes a speech about fiscal discipline sound like a motivational TED talk, has just stood up in front of the nation and essentially said, right, here's what I'm doing when I get the keys to number 10. Not if, when. The confidence alone deserves a round of applause. Quick favour, if you're enjoying this, hit that subscribe button. Over 92% of viewers haven't yet. It's free, takes a second and means the world to us. Thanks if you did. Now, back to the show.
Half an hour ago, and now he's set to walk into number 10, whether that's in Downing Street or whether it's somewhere just off Deansgate, I don't know. But he's certainly going to change things and move things around.
Yeah, but his path to power in Westminster has been a long one. He has wanted this for a very long time. And actually, in most recent history, he has marched forward slowly and methodically. And don't forget that Labour's NEC tried to stop him when he tried to enter the by-election at Gorton and Denton. So this is only the final stage in his path towards Westminster. And I think probably there is going to be a coronation quite soon. I can't see anyone else stepping into the contest. But we should listen very carefully to his speech because it never mind the nitty-gritty of the words, he is indicating here that he wants to change a mindset. So we should ignore that at our peril. I'm not saying whether it's good or bad. I'm saying when he's speaking, listen carefully.
Yeah, and the problem I sense that he's going to have, I mean, he's talked about give me 10 years. I mean, that's not an insignificant amount of time. 10 years is a while. And of course, I think even different from just 5 years ago, people want results quite quickly in this sense, Linda. They don't, the idea that you hang around, if you don't sniff and tangibly feel positive change that isn't necessarily specifically party political, just a sense that your country is growing, it's on the up, there's something, there's at least a veneer of excitement around. Remember when Blair came in 1997, even if you didn't vote for Blair, there was, we had Blur and Oasis knocking around in the charts, life seemed pretty good, and Tony and Cherie marched up Downing Street, everything felt like there was a complete shift, a new beginning. If you don't sense that, and we live in very cynical times, then he's not going to be given 10 years, is he?
No, well, we don't just live in cynical times, we live in different times. Yeah. So we have to be prepared to accept that. Change will take a long time. I mean, he's a bit over-optimistic to say 10 years, because who's to say that the Labour Party can get a second term?
Well, true.
I mean, they need to get through this one with people behind them. And the problem is for the Labour Party is, yes, sure, the last election came up and people wanted change. So they voted for the Labour Party. That's how Labour ended up with a wide but shallow majority. It was a landslide, but it was fragile, as we've seen, as MPs went back to Parliament after that general election. So we have to pay very close attention to what is going on here in society. And sometimes I think maybe we are all a little bit unrealistic, and we should accept.
So, what exactly did Burnham announce? Buckle up, because this speech was packed tighter than a Northern Line carriage at rush hour. First up, housing. Burnham has promised the biggest council house building programme since the post-war period, using vacant public land, to slash costs. Bold? Absolutely. Achievable? That's the billion-pound question, isn't it? Then there's public control of water and energy. Local and regional leaders, your mayors, your metro bosses, getting actual power over essential services. Water, housing, energy, transport. Because apparently privatised water companies pumping sewage into rivers wasn't the roaring success story we were promised. Shocking, I know. But here's where it gets genuinely historic. Burnham is setting up what he's calling Number 10 North, a nerve centre of government based in Manchester. Not London, Manchester. He literally said, and I quote, "The days of Whitehall fighting the devolution of power are over for good." That's not a policy announcement, that's a declaration of war on the old establishment, delivered with a smile and an impeccable Lee accent.
The need to deliver is incredibly urgent. He's got to address that. Can he topple the commanding lead that Reform have had in the polls for around about the last year or so? Consistently, he's got to be able to beat that.
Well, it has to be said that Reform is losing that lead. And actually, I think there were opinion polls at the weekend which were very, very good news for Andy Burnham. Now, where Nigel Farage has a battle on his hands, and I think Nigel Farage is a great communicator. We all know that. Whatever you think of him, is a very able, excellent politician, whatever you think of him in terms of his policies. But Andy Burnham is also very, very charismatic. What's interesting about that speech, and I'm not sure about this because it's only just happened, and I couldn't see a wide shot, and that's because he didn't take questions, and there's been arguments over that. We can't really tell whether he's on an autocue or not. I suspect he's not, and I suspect he's reading. Well, I don't suspect. I can see that he was reading from his notes. Now, that takes a huge degree of confidence. All too easy to get hung up on the autocue, but unless you're very good at it, it betrays a lack of connection with the audience.
Yeah.
He had the audience with him, and that says something. Whether he should have taken Q&As afterwards, that's a big argument that started this afternoon.
And I guess he might, a politician, an older politician might go, well, we never ever did this Q&A thing before. It's relatively new. So, what he's got nothing. He could only lose by doing Q&A, so he might as well stick with his script. He's confident in what he's saying, and then he can walk away thinking, I've not compromised myself.
I don't think that was his thinking here. I think he believes that this is a landmark speech. And sometimes you need to leave the landmark speech to stand alone, because the danger is that once you open it up to Q&A, I've seen other politicians from other parties do this, there is a question there that somehow takes, and an answer, more importantly, an answer that takes precedence. And Andy Burnham did not want that to happen. Where I think he was wrong not to take questions was immediately after the Makerfield by-election. But I think it's okay to let this speech stand alone. But he can't afford to do that later. And obviously he won't do it in the House of Commons because he has to take questions from MPs. Indeed. And I suspect that's his strategy.
Well, the question we're asking, would you give Andy Burnham 10 years? 0344 499 1000. Linda Jubilee is with us. Let's move on to this one, Linda. The asylum appeal system is going to be overhauled with judges replaced by...
Meanwhile, the Home Office is scrapping traditional judges in asylum appeals, replacing them with trained lay people. Ambitious? Yes. Slightly terrifying? Also yes. And somewhere in the background, former PM Rishi Sunak is apparently eyeing a NATO Secretary-General role. The audacity. One speech, 5 seismic policy areas, 0 questions taken. Andy Burnham just told Britain exactly who he is, and the country is listening. Thanks so much for watching Britain Unpacked, family. You lot are absolutely brilliant. See you next time.